The night princess disappeared, 3 moons hung bright over the palace guards found her room empty. Her bed was cold. A small transport ship was missing from the royal hangar. Queen screamed loud enough to shake the glass walls of her throne room. For 18 years after that night, the queen sent her best hunters across the galaxy. They searched 1,000 planets. They questioned 1,000,000 beings. They found nothing, not a trace, not a whisper. The princess had vanished like smoke in wind. They were not a species that accepted failure. They ruled 12 star systems. Their ships could cross galaxies in days. Their scientists could reshape matter with their thoughts. Their warriors had never lost a war, yet they could not find one young princess. Queen aged in ways her species rarely did. Grief carved lines into her silver face. Her eyes, once bright like captured stars, grew dim and hard. She stopped attending festivals. She stopped smiling. The palace, once full of music and light, became cold and silent. Everyone believed Princess was dead, killed by enemies of the throne. Her body lost somewhere in the dark between stars. The queen held a funeral without a body. She built a tomb of crystal that caught the light of all 3 moons. She visited it every night for 18 years. But was not dead. She was very much alive, hiding on a small blue planet in a forgotten corner of the galaxy. A planet that had marked as primitive and not worth harvesting. A planet called Earth. The truth was simple and terrible, had not been taken. She had run away. At barely 20 cycles old, she had been curious, too curious. She had found her way into her mother's private archives. The files were locked with security codes that should have been impossible to break. But was clever, and she had time, and she wanted to know what secrets her mother kept. What she found broke her heart. The files contained records of something called cleansing protocols, reports from dozens of planets, images that made her sick. They did not simply conquer worlds, they emptied them. Species that refused to serve were erased. Entire civilizations turned to ash. Billions of lives ended so they could take their resources. Read for hours. She saw the faces of the dead. She read the orders signed by her own mother. She learned that her beautiful, powerful empire was built on bones. She could not stay. She could not pretend she did not know. She could not smile at banquets while wearing jewels paid for with genocide. So she ran. She took the smallest ship she could fly alone. She disabled its tracking signal. She flew in random directions, jumping from system to system, trying to get lost. She wanted to disappear so completely that no one would ever find her. She almost succeeded too well. Her ship's fuel ran out near a yellow sun. She crashed on the 3rd planet, a world of blue oceans and green land. The impact destroyed her ship and nearly killed her. She woke up in pain, everything hurt. She could not move. She smelled smoke and dirt and something else, something cooking. She heard a voice speaking words she did not understand. A face appeared above her, a strange face, flat with no silver in the skin, brown eyes instead of starlight, but the face was kind, the voice was gentle. The creature was a human, a male named Park. Was a farmer. He grew rice in fields that his family had worked for generations. He lived alone in a small house at the edge of his village. He had found the burning wreckage in his field and pulled the strange silver woman from the flames. He did not know what she was. He did not care. He only knew she was hurt and needed help. For weeks he cared for her. He cleaned her wounds with water from his well. He fed her soup and rice. He talked to her even though she could not understand. He smiled at her every morning and said words that sounded warm. Slowly healed. Her body was strong and it repaired itself faster than any human could. But something else was healing too. Something inside her that had been broken by what she learned in those archives. Never asked what she was. He never demanded answers. When her silver skin confused him, he simply shrugged. When her eyes glowed in the dark, he said she was pretty. When she finally learned enough of his language to tell him she was not human, he nodded and said it did not matter. "You are now," he said, giving her a human name. "You are here, you are safe, that is enough." Had grown up in a palace where everything had conditions. Love was political, kindness was strategy, trust was weakness. But this simple farmer offered her everything and asked for nothing. She stayed. She built a device that made her look human: dark hair, brown eyes, ordinary skin. She helped on his farm. She learned to plant rice and harvest vegetables. She learned to cook human food and celebrate human holidays. She learned that life could be small and quiet and still be beautiful. She never contacted her. She never sent word to her mother. She let Princess stay dead. Because had found something she never knew existed. On a primitive planet, among a species her people called lesser, she found peace. And in the kind eyes of a simple farmer, she found something else. She found love. She learned that humans woke with the sun and slept when it set. She learned that they grew tired and needed rest. She learned that they ate 3 times a day, and that food was not just fuel but joy. She learned that they laughed at small things and cried at big things and sometimes cried at small things too. Was her teacher. He was patient in ways that surprised her. When she made mistakes, he did not punish her. He simply showed her again. When she broke things with her strength, he laughed and fixed them. When she forgot to hide her silver skin and a neighbor almost saw, he made excuses and told her to be more careful next time. He never made her feel like a burden. He never made her feel strange. The seasons changed. Spring became summer. Summer became fall. Fall became winter. Then spring came again. Watched the cycle repeat and felt something new. On her, the weather was controlled. The temperature never changed. But here on Earth, change was natural. Change was beautiful. She began to love the small things. The smell of rain on dirt. The sound of birds in morning. The taste of rice fresh from the pot. The feel of his hand in hers as they walked through the village market. She did not know when she fell in love. It happened slowly, like a plant growing. One day she realized she could not imagine life without him. One day she realized his smile was the first thing she wanted to see each morning. One day she realized she was happy in a way she had never been in the palace. Loved her too. He told her on a winter night, sitting by the fire in his small house. He said the words simply, without poetry or grand gestures. He said he did not care where she came from or what she was. He said he only knew that his life was better with her in it. They married in the human way. A small ceremony in the village temple. Wore a white dress. Wore a suit that was too tight because he had borrowed it from a friend. The village people came and ate and danced. No one knew the bride was an alien princess. They only knew she was the strange, quiet woman who had appeared one day and made the lonely farmer smile again. 2 years later, discovered something impossible. She was pregnant. Scientists had always said that their species could not breed with others. Their biology was too different. Their genetics were not compatible. It was one of the reasons they looked down on other races. They believed they were pure, separate, above. But's body was growing 2 new lives, twins, a boy and a girl. She was terrified. She did not know what the children would be. She did not know if they would survive. She did not know if they would be or human or something in between. Held her hand through every fear. "They will be our children," he said. "That is all that matters." The twins were born on a spring morning. The boy came first. He was small but strong, with his father's jaw and his mother's silver eyes. They named him. The girl came second. She was loud from her first breath, screaming at the world like she was angry to be born. She had her mother's face but her father's stubborn heart. They named her. The children were miracles. They were impossible. They were perfect. As they grew, their differences became clear. They were stronger than human children, faster. They could see colors that others could not. They healed from cuts and bruises in hours instead of days, could feel the emotions of people around him, could make flowers grow faster just by touching them. But they were also deeply human. They loved their father's cooking. They played in the rice fields. They went to school in the village and made friends and got in trouble for talking too much in class. They celebrated birthdays and holidays. They learned to respect elders and help neighbors. Taught them about their blood in secret. She told them they were special but warned them to hide it. She told them about the empire among the stars but said they could never go there. She told them about their grandmother, the queen, but said she could never know they existed. The children understood. They kept their secrets. They learned to make their silver eyes look brown. They learned to hold back their strength. They learned to be ordinary even though they were not. 16 years passed like water flowing. Grew tall and quiet. He loved to watch the stars at night. He wondered about the worlds his mother came from but never asked to go there. He was happy on Earth. He was happy being human. Grew fierce and protective. She defended her brother from bullies. She defended her mother from rude villagers who whispered about the strange family. She was proud of who she was, even if she could not show it. Grew older. His hair turned gray. His back bent from years of farming, but his smile never changed. His love never weakened. He looked at his family every evening and felt like the richest man on earth. They were happy, they were safe, they were home. Then one autumn evening, a light appeared in the sky. A light that did not belong. A light that meant everything was about to change. The had found them. The scout ship was not looking for. It was only passing through, scanning Earth for resources. They had done this many times before. They marked planets for future harvesting. They counted populations. They measured land and water and minerals. The scout pilot was bored. He had scanned 100 planets this cycle. Earth was just another primitive world full of primitive creatures. Nothing special. Nothing worth reporting. Then his sensors detected something strange. DNA, 3 signals, in the middle of a farming area. The pilot checked his equipment. He ran the scan again. The signals were real. 3 life forms were living among the humans. This was impossible. No had been assigned to Earth. No would choose to live on such a backward planet. He reported his findings to Command. Command reported to the Royal Council. The Royal Council woke Queen in the middle of the night. The Queen looked at the data for a long time. She did not speak. She did not move. Her advisors watched her nervously. They had not seen her show emotion in years. Then she stood up. "Prepare my ship," she said. "I am going to Earth myself." Her advisors protested. The Queen had not left the in 300 years. It was too dangerous. It was beneath her station. She should send soldiers, investigators, diplomats. Queen silenced them with a look. "My daughter," she said, "my daughter is on that planet." No one argued after that. The royal ship was massive. It was built for war and ceremony. It had weapons that could destroy moons. It had shields that could survive the heart of a star. It carried 500 guards and a crew of 2,000. It had not flown in 3 centuries. It took 6 days to reach Earth. Felt them coming before she saw them. Something in her blood stirred, something ancient and powerful. She woke in the middle of the night and knew, without doubt, that her past had finally caught up with her. She told. He listened quietly, holding her hands. "What do you want to do?" he asked. "I want to run," she said, "but there is nowhere to run, not from her." "Then we stay," said. "We face this together." And woke to find their parents sitting in the kitchen, looking serious. When told them what was coming, went pale, clenched her fists. "Let them come," said. "This is our home, we have done nothing wrong." "Your grandmother is very powerful," warned. "She rules 12 star systems. She has destroyed entire civilizations. She will not understand what we have here." "Then we will make her understand," said. The ship appeared the next evening. It filled the sky like a second moon. The people of the village screamed and ran. The world's governments detected the massive object and panicked. News spread across the planet. Humans everywhere looked up and saw proof that they were not alone in the universe. The ship landed in the rice fields. Its weight crushed the crops. Its engines burned the earth black. When the loading doors opened, a ramp of light extended down to the ground. Walked out of the farmhouse. She had turned off her human disguise. Her silver skin shone in the light of the ship. Her eyes glowed like stars. She looked like what she was, a princess of the empire. Walked beside her. He was just a farmer. His clothes were simple. His hands were rough from work. But he stood straight and did not show fear. Behind them came the twins who should not exist, half human, something new in a very old universe. Royal guards marched down the ramp. They wore armor that could stop any weapon on Earth. They carried guns that could level cities. They formed two lines, creating a path. And down that path walked Queen. She was tall, taller than any human. Her silver skin was darker than, marked with patterns of age and power. Her eyes burned with cold fire. On her head sat a crown of living light that shifted and danced like flames. She stopped 10 feet from her daughter. For a long moment no one spoke. Mother and daughter looked at each other across 18 years of silence. The guards waited. The twins waited. Then Queen spoke. "You live." Her voice was like ice breaking. "You live and you let me believe you were dead. You let me mourn, you let me suffer, you let me bury an empty tomb." Did not look away. "I could not stay," she said. "Not after what I learned, not after what I saw in your archives, the cleansing protocols, the dead worlds, the billions of lives you erased. That was necessary, that was empire. That was murder. I could not be part of it." Queen's eyes moved past her daughter. They found first a human, small, weak, mortal. Then they found the twins. Her expression changed to something between horror and wonder. "What are they?" she whispered. Stepped back to stand beside her family. She took's hand in her left. She took's hand in her right. Stood close, her chin raised in defiance. "They are my children," said. "You're half human. They are proof that we are not as different as you believe. They are proof that love matters more than blood." Queen stared at the twins. Her guards shifted nervously. "Impossible," the Queen said. "Abominations." Stepped forward. A simple farmer facing the ruler of 12 star systems. His voice was steady. "They are not abominations," he said. "They are my children, and you will not speak about them that way." The guards raised their weapons. The Queen raised her hand to stop them, but her eyes stayed on the human who dared to challenge her. "You do not know what you have done," she said. "You do not know what you have created." "I know exactly what I have created," replied. "A family, something worth more than all your star systems combined." Queen refused to leave without her daughter, refused to leave without her family. The ships hung in the sky like dark clouds. The humans of Earth watched and waited and feared. Governments sent messages to the alien ship. They offered gifts. They begged for peace. They threatened war. The Queen ignored them all. She cared nothing for the affairs of lesser species. She only wanted her daughter back. Would not move from the farmhouse. She sat with the twins, waiting. Guards surrounded their home. Drones watched from above, but no one attacked. The Queen had ordered them to wait. On the second day, Queen sent a message. She would take home. She would forgive her crimes. She would restore her place as heir to the throne. But the human and the half-breeds would stay on Earth. They were not welcome in the Empire. They would never be welcome. Refused. On the third day, the Queen came to the farmhouse herself. She walked through the fields alone, leaving her guards behind. She knocked on the door like any visitor might. Opened it. They stood face to face, the farmer and the Queen. He was short and old and tired. She was tall and ancient and powerful. He did not bow. He did not step aside. "I want to speak with my daughter," Queen said. "She is inside," replied. "But this is my home. You enter as a guest or not at all." The queen's eyes flickered with something. Surprise, perhaps, or respect. No one had spoken to her this way in centuries. "Very well," she said. "I am your guest." Inside, the family sat around a small wooden table. The queen took a seat across from them. She looked around at the simple house, the old furniture, the family photos on the walls, the vegetables hanging to dry, the worn blankets, the love in every corner. "This is what you left the empire for?" she asked. "This tiny house, this simple life?" "Yes," said, "and I would choose it again." "You could have had worlds. You could have had power beyond measure. You could have ruled beside me. I could have had everything except peace. I could have had everything except love. What good is power if it is built on suffering?" Queen turned to the twins. She studied them carefully, met her gaze with quiet dignity, met it with fire. "You should not exist," the queen said. "Our scientists said it was impossible, and humans cannot produce offspring. Our biology is too different." "And yet here we are," said. "Maybe your scientists do not know everything." "Maybe they do not," the queen admitted. "Tell me, child, what are you? What do you feel? Are you or human?" Stood up, she was small next to her grandmother, but she did not seem small. "I am both," she said, "and I am neither. I am something new." She held out her hand. In her palm she focused her abilities, the power to shape living things, the power that should have been impossible for a hybrid. A seed appeared, then a root, then a stem, then leaves, then petals. A flower bloomed in her hand, the national flower of Korea, pink and white and beautiful. "The use this power to conquer," said, "to reshape worlds for your needs, to destroy what does not serve you. But my father taught me something different. He taught me that true power is not about taking. It is about growing. It is about caring for something small and helping it become something beautiful." She offered the flower to her grandmother. Queen did not take it, but she did not look away either. Spoke next. His voice was softer than his sister's, gentle like his father. "Grandmother," he said, "our mother did not run because she was weak. She ran because she was strong enough to see the truth. The empire is powerful, but it is empty. It conquers, but it does not love. It takes, but it does not give. Our mother found something here that all your star systems could not provide. She found a man who loved her without conditions. She found a home where she could be herself. She found happiness." He looked at his father. "Our father is just a farmer. He cannot travel between stars. He cannot reshape matter. He cannot live for 1,000 years, but he has more courage than any soldier. He saw a strange creature crash into his field, and instead of running, he helped. He learned that his wife was an alien princess, and instead of fearing her, he loved her more. He raised 2 children who are different from everyone around them, and he never made us feel like we were wrong." Silver eyes shone with tears. "You want to know what humans are worth? They are worth everything. They love without reason. They hope without proof. They sacrifice for people they will never meet. They are small and brief and mortal, but they burn so bright." Queen was silent for a long time. She looked at the flower in his hand. She looked at the tears in his eyes. She looked at her daughter, sitting beside a human farmer, holding his hand like it was the most precious thing in the universe. She had ruled for 1,000 years. She had conquered worlds. She had made decisions that shaped the fate of billions. But she had never felt so uncertain. "I came here to bring you home," she finally said. "I came here to reclaim what was lost, but I see now that you were never lost. You were found." She stood up slowly. "I need time to think," she said. "This changes everything I believed." She walked to the door. Before she left, she turned back. "Your father," she said to the twins, "is a remarkable creature. I have met emperors and generals and gods. None of them ever stood before me without fear. None of them ever demanded I show respect." She looked at him. "You have something I do not understand, but I think I would like to learn." Then she left, walking back through the fields to her ship, alone with her thoughts. Queen did not sleep that night. She sat alone in her chambers on the royal ship, staring at nothing. Her advisors knocked on her door many times. She sent them all away. She thought about her daughter, about the human farmer, about the impossible who carried both bloodlines in their veins. She thought about what they had said, about power and love and what truly mattered. She thought about the cleansing protocols, the dead worlds, the billions of lives erased so they could grow stronger. She had signed those orders without feeling. They were necessary. They were efficient. They were what empire required. But her daughter had looked at those same files and run away. Her daughter had chosen a tiny house and a simple farmer over all the power in the galaxy. Her daughter had been happier growing rice than ruling stars. Perhaps her daughter was wiser than she knew. In the morning, Queen made her decision. She walked back to the farmhouse. Her guards followed at a distance. The family was already awake, sitting in the yard, watching the sun rise. "I will not force you to come home," the Queen said to her daughter. "I will not separate your family. I was wrong to threaten this." Looked at her mother with surprise. "But I am asking you," the Queen continued. "I am asking all of you, come back with me, not as prisoners, not as curiosities, come as family. Come and help me understand what I have been missing." "The Empire will never accept us," said. "They will never accept a human. They will never accept half-breed heirs." "Then the Empire will change," Queen said. "I have been queen for 1,000 years. I have shaped worlds. I can shape minds too. It will take time. It will be difficult. But I am tired of ruling alone. I am tired of an empire built only on fear." She looked at. "I watched you stand before me without flinching. I watched your children speak truths that my own advisors would never dare say. I watched your family choose love over safety every time. I do not understand humans, but I want to learn." Looked at his wife. She looked at their children. A silent conversation passed between them. 18 years of hiding, 18 years of pretending. Now they had a chance to be who they truly were. "We will come," said, "but we have conditions." "Name them." "My husband will be treated with honor, not as a pet, not as a servant, as an equal." "Agreed." "My children will be recognized as legitimate heirs. They will have all the rights of any royal." "Agreed." "And the cleansing protocols will end. No more dead worlds, no more genocide. The Empire will find another way." Queen was silent for a moment. This was the hardest condition. The protocols had given the Empire its power. Ending them would change everything. "Agreed," she said finally. "It will take time to change our ways, but we will try." 1 month later, the royal ship returned to the... But it did not return with just the Queen and her guards. It carried something that had never existed before. A human in the royal palace. The Empire reacted with shock, with disgust, with fear. How could the Queen bring a primitive creature into the sacred halls? How could she name him royal consort? How could she accept half-breed as heirs to the throne? Protests erupted. Noble families threatened rebellion. Advisors resigned. For a few dangerous weeks, it seemed the Empire might tear itself apart. But Queen had ruled for 1,000 years. She knew how to hold power. She knew how to change minds. She gave speeches. She held assemblies. She showed the Empire what her could do. With his gentle wisdom and his ability to sense emotions, calmed angry crowds with just his presence. With her fierce spirit and her power to grow living things, created gardens that had never existed before. Plants from Earth growing alongside flowers from distant stars. "Look at them," Queen told her people. "They are not weaker for being mixed. They are stronger. They carry the best of both worlds. Perhaps this is what we needed all along. Not purity, not separation, but connection." Slowly, very slowly, minds began to change. It was not easy. The old ways were deep. Hatred does not disappear overnight. Some never accepted the new heirs. Some plotted against them. Some looked at with contempt until their dying day. But the younger generation saw something different. They saw and walking through the palace, confident and kind. They saw a human farmer teaching children how to grow vegetables with their hands instead of their powers. They saw a different way to live. 20 years after returning, Queen passed the crown to her daughter. Princess became queen, and beside her stood the farmer from Earth, now the most famous human in the galaxy. On the day of her coronation, addressed the empire. "My mother built this empire with power," she said. "I will build it with something stronger, with compassion, with connection, with the understanding that every species, every being, every life has worth. I learned this not in our great libraries or ancient temples. I learned it on a small farm from a man who had nothing but his kindness to offer." She reached out and took his hand. "They have always believed we are the greatest species in the galaxy, but greatness is not measured in how many worlds you conquer. It is measured in how many hearts you touch, in how many lives you improve, in how much love you give without expecting anything in return." She looked at her children, who had become a diplomat known for making peace between warring species, who had created programs to restore worlds the Empire had damaged. "Humans taught me this," she said, "and now we will teach the galaxy." In the crowd smiled. He was old now. His hair was white, his hands shook. He knew he did not have many years left. Humans burned bright but brief, as his son had said. But he had seen his wife become queen. He had seen his children become heroes. He had seen an empire of conquerors begin to learn kindness. Not bad for a farmer from a small village in Korea. That night he stood on a balcony with his wife, looking at the 3 moons of the. "Do you ever miss Earth?" asked. "Sometimes," he said. "I miss the smell of rice fields. I miss the sound of rain on the roof. I miss the taste of my mother's cooking." "Do you regret coming here?" "Never," he squeezed her hand. "Home is not a place. It is the people you love, and my home has always been with you." Leaned her head on his shoulder. Silver skin against weathered brown. Princess and farmer, alien and human, 2 lives that should never have touched, now woven together forever. Above them, the stars shone bright. Millions of worlds, billions of possibilities. An entire galaxy learning that the smallest creatures from the smallest planet could change everything. All it took was love.